going to show a different variation of the scarf hold that I prefer to use. A lot of people, when they do the scarf hold, they'll reach over the top of the arm, and then this one will hang onto the shoulder here. What I prefer to do is I prefer to get underneath the elbow, and I'll cup the tricep from behind. And then I'll take this hand and put it on top of my thigh. This is usually referred to as a pillow scarf hold. It's a lot more uncomfortable for my partner. Also more difficult for them to get out of. What I'm actually doing is I'm kind of lifting his shoulders up off the mat, and that makes his bridge and roll defense much more, much less manageable for him. And to see how beat red Bill's face is getting. Yeah. Okay. Now there's also two arm locks that I like to use from here. The first one is just a straight arm bar. I'm going to slide out down to the end of his wrist. I like to try to get the wrist bent, and I'm going to trap that wrist in the pit of my knee. What this allows me to do is control the rotation on his hand. I'll pull that in tight to my butt, and then I'm going to push down with this knee while I lift up with this one. All right, usually doesn't take a whole lot. Common mistake is to push down on this and let that shoulder come up off the ground. I don't want to let his shoulder move up. See how it's coming up? I want to hold his shoulder down with my body weight while I push down over here. Now, if he does get that arm free, or maybe I just didn't have a good grip on it in the first place, what I'll do now is I'll tuck it behind the front knee. I'll get a figure 4 on this, and then I'll start pulling this backwards towards his hips. If my partner has a fairly flexible shoulder, I might be able to pull this back and not get him to tap out. Or maybe I'm pulling this back and he starts moving his feet away from mine to prevent this from happening. In which case, we need to adapt it a little bit. Bring in the stunt double.
That's me with long hair.
Right.
In college.
So after I get this tucked in here and I'm pulling this back, I can't get the lock yet because she's moving her feet perhaps, or perhaps she just got a really flexible shoulder, which is why we're using Sammy right now. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to start lifting up on her head. As you do an Americana on your partner, the hips will start coming up off the ground to change the angle of that shoulder joint. When I start lifting up on the head, I'm doing the opposite of her hips coming up off the ground.